Ashamed of his wife, the man decides to take his lover to a business meeting with foreigners. But when he discovers the surprise that awaits him, he is in shock. He thought he had everything under control. He thought everything was planned, but what was about to happen at that meeting would leave him completely stunned. Lucas was the image of success. The owner of a growing company, he lived surrounded by luxury. In the office, always in an impeccable suit, he spoke confidently on the phone while his hands held reports and graphs of his latest businesses. For his colleagues and partners, he was the perfect example of a man accomplished both in his career and in his personal life. However, that image of perfection hid a different reality. Lucas felt a deep contempt for his wife, Paula. Even after being married for more than 15 years, Lucas never truly valued the woman who was at his side. Paula was discreet and simple and had always been in the shadow of his success. When they got married, Lucas was still starting, and it was with the support of Paula that he managed to reach the position he longed for. She believed in her husband's potential, encouraged him to follow his dreams, and took care of all the responsibilities at home while he dedicated himself to his career. They had dreams in common, laughed together at the difficulties in the beginning, and seemed to be the perfect couple to face the world together. Over time, as Lucas began to gain the prestige he always wanted, his gaze toward Paula changed. She no longer fit into the lifestyle he wanted to project. In Lucas's eyes, his wife, with her reserved personality and simple appearance, was an obstacle to the image he wanted to show in business and social circles. For him, Paula was no longer the woman who fit into his new reality. She was too good to stay at home taking care of everything, but not good enough to be by his side at gala events or important meetings. It was then that Carla appeared in his life, young, attractive, and dazzling. Carla was the opposite of Paula. She liked luxury, enjoyed being the center of attention, and, in Lucas's eyes, she was the perfect companion for his business. He began to take her to important dinners, introducing her as his companion at social events. Carla drew attention wherever she went with her beauty and confidence, and Lucas felt powerful having her by his side. This extramarital relationship intensified with each new business meeting. There was Carla, shining at luxurious parties and being praised by everyone. Meanwhile, Paula remained at home, taking care of everything with the same patience and dedication as always. Lucas believed that his wife would never suspect a thing. He was sure that Paula was completely oblivious to what was going on behind the scenes in his professional life. What he didn't know was that Paula, despite seeming calm, was aware of much more than he imagined. She noticed the changes in Lucas's behavior, the business dinners that became more frequent, the unexpected trips, and the unconvincing excuses. However, instead of confronting him directly, she decided to observe. Little by little, Paula began to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Even though he didn't notice it, his loyalty and patience were being put to the test, and she was waiting for the right moment to act. Lucas, for his part, was so confident in his game of betrayal that he completely underestimated his wife's ability to realize what was happening. For him, Paula was just a shadow in his life, someone he could easily keep on the sidelines while he lived a double life with Carla. He believed he had everything under control, without imagining that the real surprise was yet to come, and it would be nothing like what Lucas was expecting. While he sat in his luxurious apartment with his hands crossed under his chin, contemplating the opportunity of a lifetime, a meeting with foreign investors that was not just any meeting. It was the type of meeting that could change the course of his company forever. If he managed to close the contract, millions of reals would be at stake, and he could rise to a new level of power and influence in the business world. However, beyond the financial side, Lucas knew that the image he projected was crucial to impressing the foreigners. His mind quickly began to work on how to make sure everything was perfect. The thought of taking Paula, his wife, to that meeting crossed his mind, but was quickly dismissed with disdain. He turned his chair and looked out the window, frowning. Lucas thought with disdain, Paula? No, she would never live up to this event. She is too simple, too demure. Investors want to see sparkle and charisma. They expect to be charmed. They can't have someone shy and dull at my side. On the other hand, he imagined her sitting in the meeting with her calm posture and her measured words. For him, Paula simply did not have the magnetism necessary to captivate foreigners from large corporations. Besides, Lucas considered that his wife was not attractive enough to awaken the interest or joy of investors. She did not have the glamour that he believed was essential for that type of business environment. Lucas, speaking to himself in a cold tone, said, "No, Paula would never be able to impress them. She can barely let loose in family meetings, much less in a negotiation of this caliber." It was then that the idea of Carla took shape in his mind. With Carla, everything would be different. She was young and charming, and her beauty radiated confidence, the perfect woman to impress those investors. Lucas smiled with self-satisfaction. Yes, Carla will be the key to this. They will love her, they will be fascinated with the way she behaves and the way she smiles. That will put me in a prominent position in the negotiation. They will undoubtedly close the contract. The decision was made. Carla would be his companion in that crucial meeting. For him, it was as if he had found the missing piece to complete the puzzle of his rise to the top. He knew that her presence at his side would bring a certain charm and seduction that foreigners certainly would not ignore. Lucas contemplated the plan. Paula may not even know about this trip. I must be careful. She has never suspected anything until now, and it will not be this time when she ruins my plans. Then he began to draw up a plan to travel with Carla without Paula suspecting. He knew that his wife was trusting and did not usually question his business trips, but he did not want to risk any mistakes. That night, during dinner, Lucas decided that he would put his plan into action. Paula was at the table, serving the food with her usual smile, always dedicated to taking care of the small details of the house. Lucas mentally prepared himself for the first phase of his manipulation. Lucas, with a casual tone, while cutting the meat, said, "Love, remember that important meeting that I told you about? Well, it has finally been scheduled. I will have to travel at the end of the week. It will be quick, just 1 or 2 days, but crucial to close a big contract." Paula, as always, looked at him with serenity and confidence. Paula replied with kindness, "Of course, dear. I know that this is important for you. If you need anything, I can help you with the suitcases." Lucas gave a controlled smile, hiding the satisfaction that his plan was working perfectly. He knew that Paula trusted him blindly and would never suspect his true intentions. "Thank you, love, but it will be a quick and quite intense trip. I prefer to travel light without many things. It will also be a great opportunity to close that $1 million contract that I have been telling you about. The investors are excited. We have to impress them. I am sure that this will open huge doors for the company." Paula nodded in admiration, appreciating how much Lucas dedicated himself to work, without even imagining that he was planning everything to travel with his lover. In Lucas's mind, the plan was impeccable. He had planned every detail to make sure that Carla was available on the date of the trip. The next day, he called her with his usual confident tone. Lucas on the phone with Carla said, "Carla, the meeting with the foreigners is scheduled. I want you to be by my side. It will be a great event, and your presence will make all the difference. We will impress them, and with you with me, I am sure that everything will turn out perfect." On the other end of the line, Carla smiled, ready to take on the role of Lucas's business partner. Everything was in its place. Lucas could already visualize the scene in his mind. He and Carla entering the meeting, the approving glances of the investors, the signing of a $1 million contract. Meanwhile, Paula would remain at home, oblivious to the truth, believing in the facade of a man dedicated to business. For Lucas, everything was perfect. He would have the best of both worlds, success in business and the ideal companion at his side. What he didn't know was that, no matter how detailed his plan was, something unexpected awaited him. The impact he so wanted to avoid was about to destroy his confidence and his false sense of control. The day of the trip to Argentina arrived, and Lucas was radiant with confidence. With a smile on his face and a tailored suit, he arrived at the airport with Carla, who attracted all eyes. She was stunning, dressed in an elegant dress that accentuated her curves, with an air of sophistication that he believed would be the key to impressing investors. As soon as they disembarked in Buenos Aires, Lucas and Carla went to the luxurious meeting room of the hotel where the meeting would take place. The atmosphere was elegant, with a large polished wooden table in the center, surrounded by black leather chairs. The walls were adorned with modern works of art, and large windows offered a stunning view of the city. The atmosphere was full of expectations. This contract could change the future of his company, and he was determined to shine. Lucas entered the room with an air of superiority, passing by the receptionist without looking at her and going directly to the table where 3 investors were waiting for him. A middle-aged man with a serious expression and an air of authority, an ordinary woman who radiated confidence, and another man who seemed more relaxed, but equally attentive. Lucas, with a self-sufficient smile, said, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to finally meet you. I am excited to discuss the future of our collaboration." He sat at the head of the table with Carla at his side. The investors observed him, and Lucas could notice how their glances were fixed on his lover, which gave him even more confidence. The serious man spoke in a firm tone. "Good afternoon, Lucas. We have great expectations for this meeting. What have you brought us today?" Lucas leaned back in his chair, adopting a superior posture. He made a gesture toward Carla as if introducing her to the world. "Before starting, I would like to introduce you to my wife, Carla. She is a fundamental part of who I am and of what we are building." Carla smiled, and the woman at the table, the investor, raised an eyebrow as if evaluating the situation. She smiled at the others, giving a nod of approval that Lucas interpreted as a positive response in his mind. Everything was perfect. The female investor, with a polite tone, said, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Carla. I'm sure you have a valuable perspective to share." Lucas, without perceiving the subtlety of the phrase, replied, "Exactly. Carla has a unique vision of the market, and her contribution will be crucial to our success." As Lucas spoke, he felt more and more confident. With adrenaline running through his veins, he began to present his proposal. Using charts and numbers, Lucas presented confidently while Carla listened attentively, nodding at strategic moments as if she were engaged. "Our company is on the verge of a breakthrough. This contract is not only a profit opportunity, but also a step towards an innovative future. With your investment, we will be able to expand our horizons." The investors listened attentively, but the woman seemed more reserved. She exchanged meaningful glances with the other 2, who were more open, but the tension was palpable. Lucas continued without perceiving the signals. One man interrupted with curiosity, "Lucas, you mentioned some initiatives in your last report. Could you tell us more about how you plan to implement those changes?" Lucas smiled, feeling in control. "Of course. We are ready to integrate new technologies that will increase our efficiency by 30%. This means not only more profits, but also the possibility of offering a better service to our clients." While he was speaking, the atmosphere began to change. The female investor kept an analytical look as if she were evaluating not only the numbers, but also the dynamics between Lucas and Carla. Although Lucas was immersed in his presentation, the confidence he exhibited began to waver under the pressure of the woman's attention. With a challenging tone, the female investor asked, "And how do you plan to handle the governance issues that arise when implementing these innovations? It's important to ensure that all stakeholders are involved." Lucas, surprised by the question, hesitated for a moment. He did not expect the woman to be so incisive, but soon he recovered, determined not to let his insecurity show. Catching his breath, Lucas replied, "We are committed to maintaining an open dialogue with all our partners. Transparency is essential, and we are ready to address each other's concerns." He continued talking, but deep down, a small alarm began to ring in his mind. The conversation was becoming deeper than he had anticipated, and the presence of Carla, who was supposed to be his greatest ally, did not seem to have the impact he had imagined. While Lucas tried to divert the focus from his insecurities, he wondered if he had made the right decision in bringing Carla. He also wondered if the female investor would notice something he had not planned. The tension in the room was palpable, and Lucas, in his search for control and image, was about to discover that not everything could be manipulated with charm and appearance. Lucas was in the middle of his presentation when the female investor, who until then had remained reserved, began to ask more incisive questions. Her posture changed slightly, and now she seemed less polite and more interested in technical details. With a firm voice and a penetrating gaze, the investor asked, "Lucas, can you explain to us how your company intends to maintain control of the infrastructure with this expansion? I saw that there were some recent management changes. How are you managing that?" Lucas hesitated for a second, surprised by the depth of the question. He had not prepared for questions about internal administration. He thought quickly, trying to recompose himself, and said, yes. We are adjusting our team to guarantee efficient management. We have trained professionals to deal with any changes that may arise." The woman smiled slightly as if she were waiting for that vague answer. She leaned forward, keeping her gaze fixed on Lucas, and the environment that had previously seemed controlled began to shift. The investor, more incisive now, asked, "And what about the new financial director? I heard that he has made some significant changes in operations already. Are you aware of the new resource allocation policy he implemented?" Lucas blinked, confused. How did she know about the recent hire? He had not yet deeply involved himself with the new director, and the operational changes were being managed by his subordinates. That detail left him uncomfortable. Lucas, stuttering but trying to appear in control, responded, "Yes, of course. We are aligning our strategies. Everything is under control." Carla looked at him with a worried expression, realizing that something was wrong. Lucas's smile began to fade, and he felt a shiver run down his spine. That woman was not just any investor, she knew too much. How was it possible? Then the investor leaned a little closer and, with an almost provocative smile, began to slowly remove her wig. The fake hair slid gently, revealing the dark wavy hair of Paula, Lucas's wife, whom he would never have imagined seeing there in that context. She took off her glasses and gently wiped away the heavy makeup that disguised her features. Paula, with a calm but sharp tone, surprised Lucas. The shock invaded Lucas like a blow to the stomach. His heart raced, and he was completely paralyzed. It was as if the ground had disappeared under his feet. He blinked repeatedly, trying to understand what was happening, but the truth hit him like thunder. Lucas stammered incredulously, "Paula? What are you doing here? How?" Paula, now without the costume, kept her gaze fixed on Lucas. Carla, at his side, was frozen, completely confused by what was happening. With an expression of calm and control, Paula said, "I am one of the main investors in your company, Lucas. While you were very busy trying to cheat on me and hanging out with your lover, I was building my empire in silence. I knew everything about every move, every meeting, and now I control a significant part of your business." Lucas felt his face turn pale. His mouth opened and closed several times, but he couldn't form words. The revelation was like an avalanche, crushing every part of his confidence. Everything he thought he controlled was slipping through his fingers. Lucas whispered, still incredulous, "No, this can't be true. You." Paula, with a superior smile, interrupted, "Yes, Lucas, me. While you underestimated me, I was accumulating shares and participation in the company. I made smart investments, and now I'm here. The simple and demure woman that you thought wasn't good enough for your business is controlling more than you ever imagined." The other two investors looked at Lucas with a mixture of surprise and slight contempt. For them, now everything made sense. Lucas was completely exposed and vulnerable. He tried to compose himself, but his hands trembled slightly as he looked at Paula in disbelief. Lucas, trying to regain some control, asked, "But why, Paula? Why did you do this?" "We are married. I am the CEO." Paula, cold but with a touch of irony, replied, "We are married? It seems you have forgotten that many times. And as for the CEO, well, maybe you should pay more attention to what is happening inside your own company. While you were focused on keeping up appearances and betraying me, I was busy planning my future." The silence in the room was overwhelming. Lucas looked at Carla, expecting some kind of support, but she was stunned, not knowing how to react. Lucas's face was now tense, his hands were sweaty, and he had completely lost control of the situation. With a trembling voice, Lucas pleaded, "Paula, please. We can solve this. I can change things. It doesn't have to be like this." Paula, cold and without mercy, responded, "Solve this? Lucas, you betrayed me, despised me. You thought I was just a piece of furniture in your life. Now it's too late for regrets. I'm in control and well, you'll have to deal with the consequences of your actions." Lucas sank into the chair, feeling the weight of the world crumble on him. Everything he had built, his image, his business, everything was in ruins before his eyes. The worst part was that the person he always underestimated was the one who brought him down. While Paula, the other investors, and even Carla looked at him in silence, Lucas realized that his arrogance had blinded him. He believed he controlled everything and everyone around him, but now he saw that the one who had been in control from the beginning was his wife, and she, unlike him, knew how to play the game perfectly. After the initial shock, Lucas was still trying to process the presence of his wife in that meeting room. Paula remained calm, as if all this were part of a perfectly orchestrated plan. The silence in the room seemed eternal until she decided to break it by throwing the truth in a calculated and implacable manner. Paula, with a calm but firm voice, said, "Lucas, it wasn't that difficult to discover your betrayals. You were never very good at hiding what you did. I knew from the beginning, from the first suspicious look, from the first poorly told excuse. But instead of confronting you at that moment, I decided to use time to my advantage." Lucas, still stunned, tried to maintain his composure, but his breathing was labored. He looked at the other investors, but they remained impassive, clearly waiting for the outcome of that awkward situation. Carla, his lover, just stared at Paula, not knowing what to say or do. Lucas, stuttering in disbelief, said, "Paula, I can explain." "It wasn't." Paula interrupted. "Wasn't what, Lucas? That you betrayed me with Carla? That you treated me like an obstacle? That you despised me and underestimated me? I already know all this. The question is no longer what you did, but what I did while you thought you were in control." She paused, crossing her arms and facing Lucas, who now seemed completely defeated. He felt his heart racing as if an invisible chain were tying him to the chair. With a cold expression, Paula continued, "While you were distracted, I was building something. I observed, learned, and studied. Little by little, I was acquiring shares of your company, investing, and making decisions that you never even imagined. And now, as you can see, I am one of the main shareholders. Every step you took in the last few years was carefully watched by me. I saw you stumble, but I never worried. I knew that at the right time, everything would fall into place, and that moment has arrived." Lucas began to sweat coldly. The magnitude of what Paula was revealing was overwhelming. He had always believed he was the genius behind the company's success. But now he understood that there was a much greater and more strategic force behind everything. What he thought was his victory was being led by the hands of his wife. With his voice shaking with desperation, Lucas asked, "But what about the company, Paula? If you do this, you're going to destroy everything. I'm the CEO. You can't just..." Paula, cutting him off coldly, said, "Destroy the company? I'm not you, Lucas. I worked hard to ensure its success. Paula, success. While you were busy with your appearances, I was in real control. You're just a face, a facade. If there's anyone who can take care of this company, it's me." He paused dramatically, watching the impact of his words on Lucas. Now, he perceived how vulnerable he was. Not only his image, but his business was crumbling before his eyes. "Paula," with a slight smile, "and this meeting, all this, I organized. I wanted to allow you to show everyone who you are. I thought it would be interesting to see you bring your lover to a meeting that I set up myself, trying to sell a perfect image. And guess what? You fell for it, exactly as I expected. Now everyone here knows who you are." Lucas looked around, feeling the weight of the other investors' stares. The men standing next to Paula kept neutral expressions, but he knew that inside, they must be judging his lack of professionalism. Lucas, completely lost, trying to pull himself together. "Paula, I didn't know. I never imagined that you..." "Paula, now with a look of absolute contempt. Exactly. You never imagined. Why? Because you never paid attention to me. You thought I was a simple wife who wouldn't understand business, that I was just a weight you carried. But while she betrayed me, I was getting ready. You underestimated the wrong person, Lucas. Lucas felt the bitter taste of defeat in his mouth. For the first time, he was facing a harsh reality. Everything he thought he could control, including his wife, was slipping through his fingers. The tension in the room was almost palpable, and he knew he was about to lose not only his wife, but also his reputation, possibly his company. Paula, with one last relentless blow, I don't need you, Lucas. The company doesn't need you. I can handle everything alone, and I will. Now, you can continue parading with your lovers, but know that when it comes to business, you are no one anymore. This was your final mistake. The silence in the room was oppressive. Lucas looked at Carla, hoping for some kind of support, but she seemed as lost as he was. He avoided her gaze, probably realizing that she had been dragged into something much bigger than he had imagined. Without more to say, Lucas lowered his head, destroyed. He had lost respect, trust, and now maybe even the company itself, which he was so proud of. Paula stood up, looking calmly at the other investors. Paula, with a confident posture, now that we have clarified things, we can continue with the details of the association. If you allow me, I have some proposals that I would like to discuss. The investors nodded, recognizing that Paula was the true leader in that room. Lucas, for his part, remained silent, knowing that everything he had built, personally and professionally, was in ruins. The feeling of helplessness was instant, and he knew that from now on, he was only a spectator of his fall. Silence reigned in the meeting room, and Lucas was still sitting, staring into space as he processed the overwhelming weight of the situation. He, the man who always believed to be in control, was now completely helpless. His once unshakable confidence had crumbled, and all that was left was a deep sense of humiliation and regret. Paula, now standing and clearly in command, took one last look at him before speaking again, her voice echoing firmly in the room. Paula, calm but with authority, regarding the company, Lucas, I still have some decisions to make, decisions that will affect both the future of business and our relationship. You will know soon. I am not going to solve everything here and now. She paused, looking directly into his eyes. Paula, cold but with a hint of irony, I'll let you reflect a little on all this. Lucas tried to speak, but his throat was dry, and the words would not come out. He knew that any attempt to fix the situation at that moment would be useless. Paula was not only in control of business, but of her own life and destiny. Carla, realizing that there was no more room for her in that scene, felt the weight of bewilderment and discomfort. She quickly looked at Lucas, but he did not even notice her presence. All she saw in him was a defeated man, a broken reflection of the confident figure with whom she thought she would be involved. Without saying a word, Carla got up from the chair as discreetly as possible, with quick steps, and left the room, avoiding any glances from the investors or Paula. She knew that her presence there was irrelevant now and that, in a matter of minutes, she would be forgotten by everyone. Paula watched Carla leave, but did not give much importance to the lover. In the end, she was only an insignificant part of the larger puzzle that Paula had put together. Her focus was on Lucas and on the way he had underestimated and patiently shown all those years. The other investors began to gather their documents, already aware that the focus of the meeting had completely changed. They cast respectful glances at Paula, impressed with her stance and control over the situation. They knew that from then on, any decision about the association with the company would be made by her. Paula turned to them and, with a slight smile, said, Paula, confidently, thank you for your patience. We will be in touch soon to discuss the next steps. I think we are all eager to see the company prosper with the new decisions. The investors felt satisfied and began to leave the room one by one. The soft sound of the doors closing marked the end of that meeting that was supposed to be a moment of glory for Lucas, but that became his greatest defeat. When everyone had already left, Paula took one last look at Lucas, still sitting in the chair with his trembling hands resting on the table. He seemed to have aged in a matter of minutes, dejected by the devastating revelation. Paula said, with a final tone, showing no emotion. Paula, when I'm ready, you'll know my decision. Until then, take advantage of the time to reflect on your mistakes. With that, she turned around and left the room, leaving Lucas alone. The door closed with a soft click, and the sound echoed in Lucas's mind like the end of an era. He was there completely alone. The grandeur of the meeting room now seemed suffocating. The bright lights made it seem like a nightmare. They were blinding, and the emptiness around him reflected his new reality. Lucas, who had always prided himself on having everything under control, was aimless. His career, his reputation, his personal life, everything was in the hands of Paula, the woman he had betrayed and underestimated. He ran his hands through his hair, now damp with sweat, and let out a long sigh, his mind dulled by confusion and fear of what was to come. The echo of Paula's last words reverberated in his head. Paula's voice in Lucas's mind, "You will know my decision soon." With no way out, he sank into the chair, giving himself up. He realized that he was no longer the successful man he always thought he would be. He had lost everything, and now, for the first time in his life, he was at the mercy of another person, the very woman he had despised for years. After the fateful meeting, Lucas saw his life quickly fall apart. Days later, he received an official notification. Paula had filed a lawsuit months before, something he never imagined. The lawsuit involved the total division of assets, and Lucas' partner had also managed to control a large part of the company. Thanks to all the shares that she discreetly acquired over the years, the courts did not hesitate to decide in favor of Paula, since she had proven her majority stake in the company and also her direct contribution to the success of the business. With this judicial victory, Paula officially became the sole owner of the company. Lucas, who had previously been seen as a great businessman, was now completely dependent on Paula. He lost control of the company that he believed to be his greatest achievement and completed his downfall. Paula immediately made a point of firing Carla. The lover, who until then enjoyed the benefits of being by Lucas's side, was abruptly fired from the company without any rights, without explanations, and without consideration. Carla, realizing that her advantage at Lucas's side would not take her anywhere else, disappeared from his life. The man she thought was powerful was now nothing more than a shadow of what he was, and she did not hesitate to leave him behind. Lucas was unprepared for this upheaval. He lost not only his job and reputation, but also the support of those he thought were close to him. He was left alone with nothing but the consequences of his choices. The luxurious apartment, the cars, the comfortable life he had built, everything was gone in a matter of days, while Paula prospered. Her company was now completely under her command. Under her command, she closed the $1 million contract with foreign investors, ensuring even faster growth. She restructured the company with her vision and conducted business with a skill that Lucas had never seen before. He imagined that the contract he had dreamed of conquering was now in the hands of his ex-wife, who knew very well how to manage and multiply profits. Lucas watched from afar, unable to do anything. Each new announcement of the success of the company was a painful reminder of his defeat. He had lost everything because of his pride and his betrayals, and now he watched helplessly as the empire that he helped build flourished in the hands of Paula. And what would you do if you were in the place of Lucas or Paula? Would you make different decisions? Do you think Lucas deserved this ending, or that Paula went too far? Leave your opinion in the comments. We want to know what you think. If you liked this story and want to follow more incredible twists like this, leave your like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Don't miss the next video.